Be still, young man. You took a very bad blow yesterday evening.
De Vilta? But how? What?
You are surely asking yourself what you are doing in my house. But the answer is simpler than you might think. Yesterday, just before evening fell, I received a phone call from an unknown caller. He was a young bartender, Olivaci?
Olivero?
Yeah, him. Anyway, he spilled everything you were doing, including the story of the counterfeit form to me.
That Judas! Or maybe I should say those Judases. Oh, didn't know about the form. I'd carelessly revealed that to Tekla.
I then went to the appointment at the Rocket in his place, determined to expose you.
So, you saw the doctor?
I saw a madman dressed as a crow, and I thought it was better to hide and try to understand what was happening.
Okay, but why didn't you call the police?
To report an assault by a guy with paranormal powers? I thought it would be appropriate to rescue you, to ask what was happening directly. I suppose I was also overwhelmed by curiosity.
You made the right decision. Those people don't fool around.
What kind of mess did you get yourself involved in, young man? And what does this all have to do with my castle?
I can't get into details, but you need to believe me. I'm doing all this just to save a child that was kidnapped in America.
That's absurd, to say the least. On the other hand, what I saw tonight is absurd as well. I'll accept your version and will let you walk around inside Castle Sancti Leonis. I just beg you to follow Beringler's directions. That man scares me.
Only then did Alice and the threat of the doctor occur to me. I found 2 messages. The first dated back to the night before, roughly during my fight against the doctor. Alice had found a Polish document that referred to Count Cagliostro. She had even written the entire text through SMS and sent it to me. The second message calmed me down for good. It was from the wee hours of the morning and informed me she was hitting the road to reach me in San Leo. No mention of the doctor. Evidently, Alice proceeded ahead of time without even realizing the danger she averted. Now I have to go, but I could still use some help.
Leave the door open when you go, and come back whenever you want.
So, Oliviero had decided to play hardball. I would give him a taste of his own medicine. You...
Wait, let me explain.
I don't know who you think you're dealing with, but now I'm really pissed off.
Whoa, what are you planning to do?
Shut up and follow me, and no sudden movements. A shot might go off.
What is this charade?
This is a crazy killer. He wants to shoot me.
I really want to see this. Come on, shoot!
Bang!
Ah! But, what? I can't believe I fell for that. Did you know?
You can see the shape of the finger from miles away, dope.
You two nearly compromised my investigation, and now I want to know why.
We can't trust anyone. Don't you get it?
Are you going to listen to me, chump? I said, and I'll repeat it, my sources confirmed his version. He really is a former detective from Miami. We've been stuck on this search for months now. I say let's try.
All right, then. Let's follow your instinct.
How about you start from the beginning and tell me what's going on here, backward and forward.
A while back, we went into the forest on an excursion. It was a perfect night for an excursion, thanks to the full moon illuminating the path. Everything was going perfectly, when suddenly we stumbled onto something unusual. The tracks of an animal that, judging by the print, had to be huge. Tekla claimed she had never seen anything like that.
And what did you do?
Tech decided to follow the tracks, but I didn't feel like going with her. I mean, a huge beast with a full moon? I told her I would manage alone, and I let her go. After 5 minutes, I was already lost, cold and frightened.
You're the antithesis of an adventurer.
Then, out of nowhere, I came across something unexpected. Something that has tormented me ever since. It was an old casket, hidden inside a hollow shaft.
And did you open it?
Sure, what the heck? Nothing remotely interesting ever happens to me. It contains some ancient dossiers. I took a quick look, but they disintegrated in my hands in just a few seconds. The only thing left intact is a strange piece of scroll that we've been trying to decipher ever since.
There's something that doesn't fit. How did those documents end up in San Leo if the Count had been dragged there by force?
Maybe they weren't left by the Count himself, but by the Polish soldiers who moved his corpse in 1795.
Polish soldiers. Just like in the document Alice found. Look here, Tekla.
Yes. It's not exactly modern Polish, but it's understandable. It seems like the testimony of one of the soldiers. Apparently, they uncovered the Count's corpse buried in the bare ground, with his head resting on a rock and a towel covering his face. In this passage, Cagliostro is called Master of the Rose. Again, with these damned flowers.
The Rose. It's not the first time I've heard about it, and I suspect it won't be the last.
With his body, they found some relics, which they hid, then transcribed the directions to locate them on a scroll, which they divided into 3 parts. The first was entrusted to the local priest, Father Alfredo, who swore to hide it in the safest possible place, protected by the wings of the eagle.
A sort of riddle or puzzle. I'm getting used to it.
The second group of soldiers, however, was confronted by a contingent of knights in the pay of the De Vilta family and exterminated. The last piece was closed in a trunk and buried near an easily recognizable centenarian tree.
This must be the one we found. We already have the first piece.
Well, I wouldn't be so sure of that.
What do you mean?
Yesterday morning, I went for a helicopter ride to fly over the woods looking for the beast.
When we saw you passing by.
Right. My bag could have accidentally fallen down in that area.
What?
Easy, Blondie. I was planning to go retrieve it today, but I'm waiting for the maintenance guy to bring me back my rifle. I don't want to walk around without a weapon with that monster nearby.
Fine, but we can't afford to wait. I'll go recover the bag.
Do as you wish. But take that pickaxe. You'll need it. And make no mistake, I'm not giving it to you because I feel guilty. Not at all.
I didn't know yet at the time, but I should have turned over every stone in San Leo to dredge up those 3 scroll pieces. Hey! Hey man, I'm talking to you! Ah! Stop waving that knife!
Sorry, dude. Oh, you almost gave me a stroke.
It was a really close call.
What are you doing here? Pleasure trip?
I'd say I'm working. And you?
Yes, me too. Wait a minute, damn! In the rush of the moment, I carved too deeply into the cortex. What a disaster.
What are you doing to that poor tree?
I'm analyzing it, dude. I'm Matthias, world-renowned resinologist.
Resinologist?
I don't think that word exists, but saying biologist specializing in amber is too long and makes other people uncomfortable.
What are you listening to?
Oh, it's the hit of the hour. It's great.
Catchy.
I've been listening to it on repeat for days.
See you, Matthias.
Take it easy, dude.
And there it was. Tekla's bag. A cliff away from me. The little tree was clearly dead, and I could see a crack crossing it transversely. I couldn't resist. I could have reached the other side of the bridge by taking a long detour, but the path was so long that it was barely visible. Although it didn't appear particularly inviting, that bridge was still standing after who knows how many decades. Surely it would hold for another couple of minutes. That was close. But now I had to find an alternate way to reach that bag. Going all the way around was still out of the question. Let's not kid ourselves. They'd have to scoop me up with a teaspoon. That hole could have helped me reach the rope, but it was too narrow to get a foot in. Once, when I was a kid, I slipped my head through the bars of a gate. When I decided to back out, my ears got stuck, trapping me. The same thing happened with that tool. I'd never be able to pull it out of there. What I needed was some kind of lift. I always dreamed of making an actual grappling hook. That way I could reach the rocky outcrop, bypass it, and get to the opposite plateau. Why wasn't my brain able to come up with a plan that didn't account for the possibility of splattering on the ground like a tomato? The grappling hook seemed to have found a perfect grip. Maybe things were starting to turn the right way. No, absolutely not. Wrong way. Completely wrong. One last effort. Only in that moment did I notice a change in my body. I just crossed a ravine and climbed a steep, rugged wall, yet I felt healthy. Is it possible that the doctor's gas produced such a result in me? Or was I just being manipulated again, diluted by a placebo effect? I'd risked a very dramatic death once more, but the bag was finally mine. Of course. An immense trek down awaited me. I remained speechless. The bag had fallen prey to a rapacious pointed beak belonging to a mean face that boded no good. I panicked. As far as having to climb a steep wall and throwing myself into the void, I could still handle things alone. But I didn't know anything about wild animals. Nowak. That's a Polish surname, right?
What are you? An expert on foreign languages?
No, but I've met many people during my investigations. I don't know why, but I always believed my travel would take me to Warsaw someday.
You wouldn't last a second in my country. There are true men there, not little dillweeds like you.
A strange problem arose. I'd almost recovered the bag when I was assaulted by a fierce winged animal.
A winged animal of what kind? Would you be able to describe it?
Let's see. It had a beak, some feathers.
Christus. I need more detailed information to be able to help you. Take this recognition form, go on site and fully compile it, then come back to me.
Can't you just give me something strong enough to knock it down?
The anesthetics you see on the table are bombs. They would kill it on the spot.
I don't want to hurt it. About the beast.
I didn't find out anything more since our first encounter. The only certain clue I have is that gigantic print that I couldn't manage to identify. I even sent a scan to a friend of mine, the famous biologist who works at the University of Munich. He thinks I'm dealing with a hoax, a reproduction of a print from a prehistoric creature.
It appears to be one of those mythological sightings, like the Yeti or the Sasquatch. About the scrolls.
Good fences make for good neighbors. You and Oliviero should take care of the scrolls. I'll deal with the beast.
But if you could just...
I'm about to bring out the cutlass from earlier, cretin.
All right, I'll manage. I have other things to do now.
Good. Now get out of my hair.
Better not get too close. I had to submit the results to Tekla.
All right, cretin. If you correctly identify the species with the liquid contained in here, you'd be able to ward it off. Throw the ampoule a reasonable distance from the bird and wait until it can smell the odor.
Fingers crossed. I strongly hoped I'd guessed the species right, and prepared myself to throw another of my curveballs. I'll recover the piece of the scroll once I return the bag to Tekla. I'll recover the piece of the scroll once I return the bag to Tekla. Look what I have here for you.
It's about time. Put it next to the fireplace.
And here's one of the scroll pieces retrieved.
Not that this makes you less of a wuss.
And the first piece of the scroll was mine. There were still 2 left. I'd recovered the first piece of the scroll. At the moment, I didn't know what to tuck. Amazing. Can I have this vaporizer?
To do what?
Billions of useful and extravagant things.
Suit yourself.
Marquis de Vilta.
Oh, it's you. How do you feel, young man?
Better already. Takes a lot more than that to knock me out. There's another reason you didn't report me to Director Beringler, isn't there?
I don't know what you're talking about.
My intuition tells me there's a certain grudge between you two.
You're sorely mistaken.
De Vilta was clearly lying. Do you reckon there's an ancient scroll among the family assets?
No, I don't believe so. I would remember it. Now that I think about it, though, some recent renovation work revealed a wing of the castle that had remained hidden for centuries.
So let's suppose I wanted to take a look.
I'm afraid I can't accommodate your request in this case. Safety issues, you understand.
The reason De Vilta offered seemed legit, and yet it didn't convince me. Marquis, tell me the truth. What are you afraid of?
Blech. I wouldn't ever leave control of the family castle to a man like Beringler. Believe me. But in the face of certain explicit threats, I could do nothing other than capitulate, under the promise that this was just a temporary situation. Now it's been months that my castle has been in their hands. The same people who attacked you tonight, I presume.
That's why you stopped granting permits for the building.
But now you're here, and maybe you can help me chase them off.
That's what I'd like to do, but I need to inspect the recently discovered area.
It won't be easy. First, you'll need a key to the castle, which I don't possess anymore. In addition, access has been sealed with a security door that's impenetrable without the access code, which Beringler surely keeps as close as possible. If I had to bet, I'd lay it all on his green notebook. He writes down every detail, name, figure, anything at all relevant to the structure, and he's very jealous of it.
I'll take care of that. I assure you that soon these people will be gone from San Leo. Can you tell me anything else about Walter Beringler? I don't know. Weaknesses, fears, passions.
Let me think. Well, he has a sort of strange obsession about the sights he can enjoy from his desk. He made them demolish half a wall to get the kind of view he was looking for.
Huh. That might come in handy. I'm going back to explore San Leo. Something fell off.
It's just a folded handkerchief.
It's because of people like you that the cities are full of garbage. A folded handkerchief with the words, "Be right back." Hey, Oliviero. Let's see if I figured out your plan to conquer Gaia. You want to recover Count Cagliostro's scroll in the hope of...
Chemical formulas. You know what the alchemists were famous for, don't you?
So, you hope to find the formula and use your PhD in chemistry to transmute gold?
I'd become rich beyond all imagination, Lazaro. And at that point, Gaia would fall at my feet.
I'm no love expert, but I don't think it works exactly like that.
You'll see. You'll see.
See you later.
Hands off or I'll cut them off. That bag contains some powerful hunting anesthetics.
Hunting anesthetics. Cool.
Don't get any ideas. I can't leave them in the hands of a novice. Why are you yelling like that, you lunatic?
There's a mummy inside this niche.
What do you mean by mummy? That's my father.
Did you mummify your father?
I'll only tell you this once. That is not a mummy for my father. The fight with the animal world was an ancient and noble art. He was very respectful of his prey, and had them mummified so that their memory would survive.
I think they'd have preferred to just survive. Like hell I'd touch it. Better think about it. Do you get your passion for exploring the woods from your father?
No, he was indifferent to the fascination of flora. Flowers and plants irritated him. Tekla, he thundered from the top of his 6'4" frame. If I should tragically die before you, don't you dare bring flowers to my grave. Otherwise, so help me God, when we meet again, I'll plant them right up here.
What an exquisite person. I have other things to do now.
Good. Now get out of my hair.
Tekla did mention her father's hatred of flowers. How could I resist such a temptation?
And what's that supposed to be? What the hell is wrong with you?
I thought it might represent an aesthetic improvement.
What the heck? Get out of my way!
Useless. Tekla would have thrown it away in an instant. I had to find a way to gain some time. The resin would have made the orchid sticky.
Damned flower again. This time I'll cut your hands, cretin. Don't worry, Tata. I'll fix you in a second. Ugh, what's up with this flower? Did it take root? Hey! Lift the tarp right now, cretin.
The mechanism must have been stuck. Give me a second.
So are you going to let me out or what? It's about time.
Hello, Father Carlo. What can you tell me about Father Alfredo?
Ah, Father Alfredo. He was a leading figure in San Leo in the 18th century. A man of unshakable faith, as well as philanthropist and benefactor. His mortal remains reside here, within our ossuary, together with those he deemed worthy of such a privilege. Knights from a distant time.
I was in shock. Carlo had just answered a question of mine. What if the scroll piece was in the ossuary? Let's suppose one wanted to visit the ossuary.
No, I really couldn't oblige the request of this friend.
What friend?
This one you're talking about.
Oh.
I've been appointed by the bishop to personally safeguard the keys, and that is a duty to be followed at any cost.
It was the first time I'd seen Father Carlo so fired up and passionate. I wouldn't be able to fool him with words this time. So the ossuary is off limits.
Don't worry, it's just a dark and damp place.
See you later, Father. That stained glass window successfully achieved its purpose, inspiring awe and peace at the same time. The plaque identified the figure as St. Leo, patron of the city. I imagined someone more muscular and fierce. Maybe taking Carlo to a secluded place would help me get rid of him. I have an urgent need to confess.
Sit down, my son. I'll be there in a moment. How long since your last confession, dear Mariano?
Give or take, it might be 20 years?
Good heavens. We have a lot to talk about then. Go ahead and start whenever you feel at ease.
I've stolen things. Of every kind.
For financial reasons?
Nah, not really. I keep facing strange obstacles to overcome. Situations to the point of absurdity that always require a creative approach to solve. For example, a few days ago I had to lock up a hen in a chicken coop to steal its egg and use it to cook some meatballs.
Meatballs? Ah, hunger is a nasty beast.
No, I needed them to convince a grumpy cook to give me a bloody hot. Maybe it would be better to change the subject. I tricked a big baby into believing that my stuffed bear was a panda.
These jokes don't help anyone, you brat.
It isn't a joke. I had to infiltrate an abandoned factory to retrieve some files related to the trafficking of strange magical artifacts.
Come on now, stop pulling my leg.
I beat a woman of a certain age with an adjustable iron wrench.
I beg your pardon?
More than once. In my defense, the woman in question was pointing a gun at me.
God almighty, help us.
And that's all.
On your conscience weighs a heavy burden. But don't despair, because the Lord hates the sin, not the sinner. Now let us bow our heads in prayer, my son. Listen to your heart, and in your deepest soul, repent of everything you've done.
Nice speech, but I had bigger fish to fry. This was the right opportunity to try knocking the priest out. That way I could have sprayed the anesthetic more effectively.
How weird. Suddenly I...
The signal on the door indicated that Carlo was hearing someone's confession. I hoped it was enough to deter other sinners eager to redeem themselves. Maybe the scroll piece was inside the ossuary. The shutter was almost entirely lowered, making the environment barely discernible. Damn, the latch I needed to lock the chain was broken, yet the two ones were so close together. The chain was just a few inches away from the ring, and yet I didn't know how to secure it. Adding a ring wouldn't have been enough. The bracelet would be perfect to secure the chain. Wow. I was gripped by awe for a few seconds, surrounded by death as I'd never been before. Then I realized a huge number of niches in the ossuary. I couldn't defile them all. Those niches were ancient. Too ancient for what I was looking for. The dates on those niches matched the period I was interested in. In addition, the names looked Polish. What I was looking for was right there, a few inches from me. I just had to find the right grave. I couldn't see any reference to eagle wings.
This shift never ends.
Albert, are you smoking again? Why, you. Every time you force me to risk my neck on these damn slippery steps. I warned you, Albert. Don't say I didn't warn you. Give me those cigarettes right now. And don't make those goo-goo eyes. It's useless.
It deactivated the main alarm, in case it went off by mistake. A piece of the scroll was probably hidden back there, but to enter I needed the access code. Plus, I had to get the key to the castle. It had to be a drain, or a ventilation system. Maybe an ancient well? I knew I should have updated my knowledge on medieval history before embarking on that trip. Link was right. Those steps looked dangerous. Have you been working in this building long?
Yes, I'm very competent in this, sector.
How long precisely?
We can say I've held this position for, several days.
Days? You said you were competent.
I'm a quick learner.
What do you think about Director Beringler?
Heavenly days! What an unusual request. Well,
The guard wore a concentrated expression. Beads of sweat gently purled on his forehead. Then he said,
I think he's a good-looking man, yes.
I meant, can you offer any other useful information about him? I don't know, anything that he might like or loathe?
Once, a while ago, I saw him choking on a coffee that the bartender in Dante Alighieri Square recommended to him. A new mixture. Well, it turned out it was infused with the flavor of licorice, which the director can't tolerate. You should have seen how he coughed. He seemed ready to explode.
Very, very interesting.
I agree. That infusion was very tasty.
Tell me everything you know about Count Cagliostro.
Oh, yes. Well, yes. It was in the manual. I remember it.
Thick veins appeared on the guard's temples as he racked his brain. All that intense thinking inspired him to say,
He was a count, yes.
Trust me, read through that manual again. Why did that guy confiscate your cigarettes?
This job is really monotonous, and I never know how to pass the time, so I smoke. Except I always forget there's a very good fire alarm in here.
Listen to me. Kick the habit. Anyway, I really don't like that bully's attitude. About the castle key, do you guard it?
No, the director personally locks up the castle every night and reopens it the following morning. He probably gets her at the first light of dawn.
That would be a real impediment. Even if I managed to steal the keys from Beringler somehow, he would surely notice their absence immediately.
Oh, silly me. Lake has a copy too, for emergencies. It didn't occur to me because he hardly ever uses them.
That is great news.
You're very kind to worry so much about the fate of our keys.
Bye. It felt like months had passed since the map on the Silalique and that absurd riddle connected to chest. Count Cagliostro had his back to me, elusive, mythical, surrounded by his aura of mystery. The panel reported detailed historical information, but my attention was quickly drawn to a specific paragraph. An incomprehensible Latin treaty with typical medieval calligraphy. A crossbow, swords, daggers, a collection of coins. Well, nothing that mentioned Count Cagliostro. That guy would not have cooperated, and yet I had to grab the keys of the castle off of him.
Mr. Bundy, how can I help you?
Beringler wouldn't have appreciated it. I needed sufficient distraction to give me time to snoop through the pages for just a few seconds. Beringler occasionally sipped from a glass containing an undefinable amber liquid. Can you give me some information about Castle Sancti Leonis?
As the defensive stronghold of the De Vilta family, the structure has always been in the middle of fierce clashes between the local aristocratic families.
Does the Marquis have any relatives?
No, unfortunately, his bloodline runs out with him. Unless he procreates in the coming years. I can't categorically exclude that possibility.
Did you really have to say that? I'll have a picture of that in my mind for days. What is your relationship with the Marquis de Vilta?
Strictly professional. I carry out the task I was entrusted with to the best of my ability, and that's it.
I sense a note of tension.
You're very perceptive. The Marquis doesn't seem to respect my authority, and the living proof of that is right here before my eyes.
The man sounded like he owned the castle. The scenery is really breathtaking.
Isn't it? Admire the wonder.
Tell me about the recently discovered area. It was only for a moment, but I noticed a small tremble in the director's pupils. Alice's advice was starting to prove useful.
I'll be frank. I do not think it's appropriate to share classified information with you.
And non-classified information? Let's say, any medieval death traps?
False myths disseminated by trash TV. The Middle Age wasn't the obscure period that exists now in the collective imagination. It was an era full of fervor, of enthusiasm for new discoveries, of brilliant inventions.
Like underwear. Well, I heard that in a documentary. I have no further questions for the moment.
You have come back whenever you like.
During the day, the fortress was back to shining, engulfed by its elevated tranquility. It gave me a thrill, though, together with the memory of the fight I had the previous night with the doctor. The luxuriant nature, the sun high in the sky, all those shades of green. Everything conveyed a deep sense of peace. Wow, you became a local hero.
I didn't do anything in particular. I'm just soft. I knew eating all those donuts would be good for something sooner or later.
Judging by his condition, that medkit had to belong to the workman. Among the tools, an unused syringe stuck out. Somebody could get pricked. Hey, Oliviero. If I asked for some licorice, would you send me around in search of something weird?
Just admit that you had fun picking that orchid.
Well, just a bit.
Here, enjoy the taste of true licorice.
You also sell cigarettes, right?
What a question. Of course I do.
Well then, give me a pack.
Any brand in particular?
No, the important thing is that they can be smoked.
You are one weird cat, eh? More than usual, I mean.
Because I was literally terrified. I already knew I'd been sentenced to death, but keeping a pack in my pocket was like carrying around a loaded gun. See you later.